General Hospital spoilers hint that Professor Henry Hank Dalton's ghost will haunt Laura Collins. So will the mayor crack under pressure? Laura recently won the election, but the aftermath brought a truly traumatic experience. GH fans will recall that Laura opened her trunk to find Dalton's body, so she summoned Sonny Corinthos to take care of her giant problem. Jason Morgan leapt into action like Sonny's loyal soldier, so Dalton's corpse is officially gone without a trace. Sonny has assured Laura that her car has been wiped totally clean, so she doesn't have anything to worry about as far as he's concerned. Laura just has to keep her mouth shut and keep pretending she's in the dark when it comes to Dalton's vanishing act. However, that'll be easier said than done. Laura is already struggling over the secrets she's keeping from the cops, and her concerns about Jen Sidwell being behind the horror. This whole situation has sent Laura into an emotional tailspin, so it's not surprising that it'll continue during the week of December 5. Laura will have a hard time moving past this Dalton mess, and her fears about it all blowing up in her face. On the December 5th episode, Laura will face a haunting experience. This could just be a case of bad memories and a flashback of Dalton's creepy face in the trunk. But what if it's something more? It's possible Daniel Goddard filmed another scene or two as Dalton's ghost, or at least a ghostly version of him that'll exist in Laura's head. Laura might see Dalton looking all pale and bloody in her office before shaking off the vision of him. We could even imagine Laura getting haunted by Dalton, and then jolting awake at her desk to realize it was a nightmare. GH writers could use this as a way to stress Laura out even more, and maybe even push her to her breaking point sooner or later. General Hospital spoilers say Sonny will do his best to make sure Laura stays quiet, so stay tuned for updates on whether she can keep all the grisly Dalton news to herself. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. General Hospital's healthiest marriage might be going through a crisis thanks to one pesky ex whom Chase can't get out of his mind. Chase is determined to prove that Willow didn't shoot Drew. But what will this new obsession do to his marriage to Brooke Lynn? If there's anything that Harrison Chase likes to do, it's save people. That is probably why his chosen profession is police officer. Chase is just the eternal good guy who is always there for his wife and the people he cares about. However, his need to save Willow from her own self might cause more than just a few problems. So why is Chase doing this? I think it's the savior complex kicking in, Swickard told Soap Opera Digest. Chase has really seen firsthand what Willow has been through. He's seen Dawn of Day, the sex cult she was indoctrinated into, whose deceased leader, Shiloh, impregnated her. He's seen some of the stuff she's gone through with Drew, and he's just kind of made up his mind that she's a good person. Michael has tried to get Chase to see that Willow has indeed changed, but Chase seems to think that Drew is responsible for all of Willow's actions over the last year. Brooke Lynn has certainly noticed that Chase has taken an interest in his ex-wife's case that goes beyond the professional, but Swickard does not think that Chase is falling for Willow again. In fact, he thinks his character is completely dedicated to Brooke Lynn. As an outsider looking in, I would bet on their marriage any day, the marriage between Chase and Brooke Lynn, Swickard said. They've been through so much, and they've had to flesh out so much that their communication is really solid. I don't think anything will rock the boat, but you know, this is a soap opera, and rocking the boat is sometimes fun. Even if Chase doesn't fall for Willow again, it doesn't mean that Willow won't fall for Chase after she is finally done with Drew for good. After all, Willow always needs a hero and latches on to anyone who wants to save her. Port Charles is in for another wild Thanksgiving. General Hospital spoilers for December 5th, 2025. Tease a wild Thanksgiving week in Port Charles. It's Thanksgiving in Port Charles, and while the Quartermains endure in their usual chaos on Monday, it will also be time for Willow to walk down the aisle to Drew. Anten, again. The last time they tried to wed, the secret of Nina's hookup with Drew came out. Come Tuesday, Willow is said to make a big decision, and this will presumably either be to go through with the wedding or not. Now that Nathan has decided the investigation into who shot Drew should bring the attention back to Curtis, it appears he may track him down at Thanksgiving giving, right in front of Trina. When Trina gets a shock, it could simply be that her dad's being hauled into the PCPD, but it could also be learning that she's about to be a big sister. By the end of the week, Kai will be there for his girlfriend during her family turmoil. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Laura will receive a happy surprise on Tuesday, and she certainly deserves it after the wild week she's had with being re-elected as mayor and then discovering Dalton's dead body in her trunk. But by Friday, she's said to be haunted by what happened. As for Britt, it's going to be a not-so-happy Thanksgiving for her. She's not very well liked by most of Port Charles, but when she starts drowning her sorrows on Thursday, she'll be left leaning on Jason by Friday. General Hospital spoilers hint that Carly Spencer may be arrested for treason, so her Jack Brennan revenge plot could backfire. Will Carly ultimately regret deceiving Brennan and scheming to destroy him? Instead of confronting Brennan right off the bat, Carly took a very different approach when she got updates on Jocelyn Jack's USB status. Many GH viewers expected Carly to rip into Brennan immediately, but she chose a long-game payback plan. Now, Carly is going to great lengths to trick Brennan into thinking their relationship is moving forward. Carly also made Valentin Cassadine a team player without Brennan's knowledge, so she's really pulling out all the stops for vengeance. However, Carly is putting a lot on the line when it comes to this setup. Valentin has warned Carly about the risks, but Carly is committed to this vengeful path and is willing to take whatever gamble she needs to take. In an interview with Saudi, Chris McKenna talked about the complicated mess that's developed between the characters. Although Carly was right in feeling betrayed by Brennan, McKenna pointed out that Carly is just as culpable at this point. But now she's committing treason, McKenna insisted. I mean, he lied, but she's committing acts against the nation. So I think that now Jack at least has an argument from this angle, which is, I did something bad, but not treason. McKenna added that Carly is swimming in deep waters when it comes to this whole situation with Brennan. Considering McKenna's comments, could Carly be held accountable for the treason she's committing? S. Vaughn just learned the hard way what happens when you get on Brennan's bad side. Carly could learn that too once Brennan realized he's been duped, and most likely retaliates. There's a chance Carly will get arrested eventually and regret getting so obsessed with revenge. Of course, Carly could wiggle out of treason trouble in the end, but it's easy to imagine this plot not turning out as well as she might have hoped. General Hospital spoilers say Carly will continue to deceive Brennan for now, so that could lead to alarming news when all this blows up down the road. Thanksgiving chaos hits Port Charles as the Quartermaines tempt disaster. Willow and Drew revisit the altar, and Isaiah makes a sacrifice. The General Hospital spoilers for Monday, December 1st, focus on the Thanksgiving holiday. The Quartermaines celebrate the only way they know how, and that's doing whatever it takes to avoid eating pizza. Meanwhile, Drew and Willow take another stab at a wedding. Will they actually complete the ceremony this time? Plus, Trina is in for a shock. Thanksgiving for the rest of the world was last week. It's actually happening this week on GH, so get ready for a Quartermaine gathering. Chase may be a little delusional. Not only does he keep coming up with excuses for Willow, but he thinks he can roast a turkey for the Qs and have it not turn into a disaster. In fact, he's determined to avoid the inevitable pizza fest that this holiday usually turns into. Can he do it? We don't know why Willow said she would try to marry Drew again. This could be a legal tactic, or she may actually still love him. Heck, it could be both reasons. Drew wants to marry the person he thinks is the love of his life, so look for Willow to walk down the aisle, and she will do so with her mother in attendance. Nina and Willow have sort of made amends. They repaired their relationship enough for Willow to want Nina to be there for the big day. Just because Willow is walking down the aisle, it doesn't mean Drew and Willow will seal the deal and get married. However, there is no way Drew will let this wedding have the same ending as the last time. After all, he always gets what he wants, or so he says. Nathan and Dante recently took a closer look at the persons of interest in the Who Shot Drew case. For the duo, Michael and Carly checked all the boxes and could potentially have shot Congressman Cutthroat. However, Dante and Nathan also thought it would be worthwhile to take a closer look at Curtis. Is that what happens when the spoilers hint that Nathan tracks down a suspect? Does Nathan want to talk to Curtis? That is, if Nathan is working the Drew investigation and not a different case altogether. Look for Isaiah to make a sacrifice, most likely in the name of being there for Portia. He is all about her these days. Would this be about his being her alibi for the night of Drew's shooting? Or is it about something less explosive? Finally, Trina is in for a shock. There are many things that could shock Trina at this point, especially if this teaser concerns her parents. She could find out that her mom is pregnant. That's low on the shock scale, but it would still be a startling development. Much higher on the scale is if she finds out that her mom has no idea who the baby daddy is. Finding out about Isaiah would stop her in her tracks. Seeing Jordan and Curtis together would do it too. Something else that would freak her out is if somebody found out that she and Kai were at Drew's the night of the shooting. The possibilities are practically endless. On General Hospital, Chase's dogged determination to prove that his former wife, Willow, did not shoot Congressman Drew Cain has been causing friction on the home front with his current wife, Brooke Lynn, especially in light of his willingness to believe that her cousin Michael A., his on-again, off-again best friend, might actually be the guilty party. Soap Opera Digest checked in with Chase's portrayer, Josh Swickard, to get his take on why his cop alter ego is willing to risk domestic calm to go to bat for his ex, and whether the Chalin fans should be bracing themselves. Soap Opera Digest. As you see it, Josh, why does Chase feel so called to try to help Willow beat these charges? Josh Swickard. Well, I think that Chase tries to be objective as a cop, and everybody gets to choose which evidence they're looking at. Laughs. And Chase might be choosing to ignore some and focus on others. Willow was kind of his big first love, and he's very happy with Brooke Lynn. I don't think he's accidentally falling for Willow again, but Willow has a piece of his heart somewhere that he kind of has to honor. I think that Chase's greatest asset and biggest downfall is that he wants to stand up for someone that can't stand up for themselves. Michael's got a pretty big crew around him, and lawyers and money, and he can defend himself. But Willow is kind of on her own, and nobody is vouching for her because of some of the decisions she's made. Chase is always the guy going, "I get those decisions. I got you." That's a beautiful thing when it comes to his marriage to Brooke Lynn. With her, it's, "You did what?" Okay, well, let's get through this together, you know? He's just this ever-forgiving guy, and I think sometimes that gets him in trouble, like maybe it's doing now. Chase has a really big heart, and his heart and his badge are always on a seesaw. Digest. Why do you think he believes so passionately in her innocence? Swickard. I think it's the savior complex kicking in. Chase has really seen firsthand what Willow has been through. He's seen Dawn of Day, the sex cult she was indoctrinated into, whose deceased leader, Shiloh, impregnated her. He's seen some of the stuff she's gone through with Drew, and he's just kind of made up his mind that she's a good person. And so he may be seeing the evidence through those Googles a little bit, but there are still holes in the evidence. I think he's just holding out hope that, hey, before anyone goes to jail, let's just really look into this. I'm not saying she did or didn't do it necessarily, but why are we arresting her when we could be looking at other people? Digest. Does Chase worry about the way that he's approaching this whole situation with Willow is affecting or could affect his marriage? Swickard. I think they've had enough candid conversations about it. Brooke Lynn has definitely expressed her views of, what are you doing, buddy? As Josh, as an outsider looking in, I would bet on their marriage any day, the marriage between Chase and Brooke Lynn. They've been through so much, and they've had to flesh out so much that their communication is really solid. I don't think anything will rock the boat. But you know, this is a soap opera, and rocking the boat is sometimes fun. So we'll see what happens. But I would like to think that Chase and Brooke Lynn can get through anything. Digest. I think it's been kind of refreshing that Chase and Brooke Lynn have had these conversations. Not only that they've put their cards on the table, but that instead of jumping to jealousy or insecurity, she has recognized that it's an admirable quality in Chase, that he will go to bat for the people that he loves, and that he cares so much about the pursuit of justice. Swickard. I agree. I think Brooke Lynn has been very mature about the whole situation. I don't know if I would be if my wife was going out on a limb for an ex. I would like to think I would be just like Brooke Lynn, but I do think it's really refreshing, in a genre where we do like the drama and the suspense, that he's like, "This is what I'm doing," and they can have this really mature conversation about it and have it all be amicable. I think it's really cool. Digest. It's been established that Chase is out to, at the very least, help Willow out by making it hard for the jury to convict her of this attempted murder beyond a reasonable doubt. And clearly, he doesn't buy Michael's alibi and is gung-ho to prove that Michael was not with Jacinda at the time of the shooting. Now, do you think that Chase really believes that Michael did it, or is he simply trying to point out that Michael could have done it to create that reasonable doubt? Swickard. I think it's a mixture of the two. I would say that Chase knows that Michael is capable of it, but he's more blinded by trying to prove that it's not Willow and, hey, if you actually lay out all the evidence, a couple of these things really could point to Michael. Digest. Brave man that he is, Chase has volunteered to make the turkey for the Thanksgiving celebration at the Quartermains, which kicks off on Monday, December 1st. It is, of course, a tradition dating back to 1994 that something always goes wrong with the turkey. Maybe Chase will be the one to break the curse, but regardless of the outcome, were you excited when you found out that you'd be playing a key role in the family's holiday this year? Swickard. Definitely. When I first came on the show, I never worked with the Quartermains. I'd always see them together on set, and I always kind of thought it was such a fun family. For me to get to be a part of it now is such a cool thing. And what happens on Thanksgiving is really fun. I don't want to say Chase is central to it, but he's definitely part of it. And there's a sweet tip of the hat to Monica that the writers did a beautiful job with, in my opinion. We know that historically, with the preparing of the food, things usually don't go as planned. I can't give away what happens, but as an actor, it was really fun. And I would almost venture to say that what happens is something that the fans probably wouldn't guess. General Hospital spoilers hint that Emma Scorpio Drake and Giovanni Gio Palmieri may go second lab hunting. Will Gio and Emma follow a trail to Professor Henry Hank Dalton's secret location? Before Dalton met a grim fate at Gen Z Sidwell's hands, he got drunk and spilled some big news to Jocelyn Jacks. Jocelyn found out Dalton indeed did animal testing, but he kept that work separate from PCU at another lab entirely. That led to Jocelyn telling Emma that she'd been right all along about Dalton's animal experiments. Both Emma and Gio got updates on this secret second lab, so they may make it their mission to find it. Although Gio and Emma's previous plan went awry thanks to the teens' break-in and Rocco Falconeri's arrest, their desire to save the animals hasn't changed. It'll be risky, but Emma and Gio may move forward with an attempt to locate Dalton's second lab and come to the animals' rescue. During the week of December 5th, Emma will show some fierce signs of determination. Since GH spoilers say Emma won't give up, that could mean she's on the verge of tracking down the second lab with Gio's help. Other spoilers point to Gio and Emma making a bold move together, so they may take steps to figure out where Dalton might have been keeping those animals. Of course, Emma and Gio will want to keep Rocco, Charlotte Cassadine, and Danny Morgan as far away from all this as possible. The last thing anyone needs is another teen-related legal crisis causing more drama. Nevertheless, this animal rescue plot is obviously something that Emma is quite passionate about. Gio vowed to help Emma and May refused to bail on that promise, even after all the conflict with Dante Falconeri. With Dalton out of the picture, maybe Emma and Gio could sneak in his office to dig for clues about this other lab location. Dalton wasn't the brightest guy and may have been sloppy enough to leave behind a hint that could help connect the dots. It may take some work for Gio and Emma to nail down the address of this other secret lab, but they'll stick together and could make some shocking discoveries eventually. General Hospital spoilers suggest Emma and Gio could land in grave danger if they find out too much about Caesar Faison's final project, so stay tuned. General Hospital star Donald Turner is celebrating 10 years as leading man Curtis Ashford. A longtime viewer of GH, his role in Port Charles is especially meaningful to him. Turner, a longtime fan of GH, was thrilled that he screen-tested opposite Finola Hughes, a Daytime Emmy winner for her role as Anna Devane. "I almost melted. Turner told TV Insider. He recalled watching Hughes on GH and how he loved to listen to the way in which Hughes spoke. Even after he landed the role of Curtis, Turner still needed time to process the enormity of the opportunity. After leaving the lot on his second day, he had to pull over and take in what was before him. He was realizing that his life was changing all for the better. He likens being hired by GH as if he were a fan of the LA Dodgers baseball team, and he was being hired by that very team to play ball with them. While it was flattering that the role of Curtis was created for him, he shared that it took some time for the show to find out where his character was going. Still, he believed that the show was invested in him and his character, crediting showrunner Frank Valentini and the GH writers for their vision. Like everyone at GH, Turner laments the passing of the show's iconic actor, the late Tristan Rogers, who played Robert Scorpio on and off the show since 1980. "We traveled a lot together," Turner says. "I heard a lot of his wonderful stories, and I was all ears. I loved it." The actor says that he fully embraced the story of Curtis being revealed as Trina's father. "Nice and soap," he raved. Currently, Curtis appears to be torn between his pregnant wife, Portia, and his ex, Jordan. "I like where it's going," he has said. Above all else, Turner says he's immensely grateful for the life he's had and continues to have in Port Charles. He appreciates the stability, longevity, and the feeling of respect and being heard he has at the ABC soap opera. "I'm grateful beyond words," he says. Soap Central congratulates Turner on 10 years of playing Curtis Ashford, and here's to many, many more. General Hospital spoilers reveal that drunk Britt Westbourne will spin out, so Jason Morgan will ride to the rescue. The week of December 15 will bring some exciting developments for Jason and Britt. So here's what GH fans can look forward to. Britt has been dealing with a lot lately, considering she watched Jen Sidwell shoot Professor Henry Hank Dalton right in front of her. Of course, Britt has also had to deal with all the Rocco Falconeri drama, and remains concerned about the threat Sidwell poses. This is a dangerous mess, so it's easy to see why Britt will want to forget her troubles for a while. Britt is stuck continuing Cesar Faison's research in exchange for her medication doses, and now has to worry about Rocco on top of everything else. Plus, Britt's been battling some frustration over Jason never putting her first. Jason had to bail on an important conversation with Britt recently to handle the Dalton situation for Sonny Corinthos, but he's still hoping to gain her trust. Perhaps Jason will take a step toward making that happen with his upcoming move. On December 4th, Britt will decide to drink away her problems for the night. It sounds like Britt will make her way to Brown Dog Bar and throw back as much booze as it takes to make that happen. Jason will likely come along and see Britt in her drunken state. GH spoilers say Britt will get some support from Jason in the December 5 episode, so all signs point to him coming to her rescue. Jason may make sure Britt gets back to her room above Bobby's safely. From there, Jason may try to sober Britt up a bit and offer a sympathetic ear if she's ready to confide in him. Even if Britt isn't ready to open up about Faison's final project and all Sidwell's threats, she'll definitely grow closer to Jason. Britt might pull Jason into a kiss if the alcohol lowers her inhibitions and gets her to let her walls down. Regardless, General Hospital spoilers suggest Jason will get updates on Britt's drunk evening alone and do his best to help her cope, so stay tuned for more news on what the future holds. Dante is one snapped nerve away from realizing Gio isn't his burden. He's his second chance. Dante has survived mob wars, WSB conditioning, Cassadine nonsense, and more Falconeri Quartermain holiday dinners on General Hospital than any man should have to endure. Yet nothing rattles him quite like Gio. And honestly, it's funny. Port Charles is knee-deep in break-ins, lab drama, and teenagers who think rules are seasonal suggestions, and Dante is out here acting like Gio keyed his squad car and then moonwalked away from the scene. Thanksgiving is supposed to bring families together, but in Dante's case, it may be the perfect time for him to sit down, breathe into a paper bag, and be grateful the kid still speaks to him. Dante has that cop switch, the one that flips on the second he hears the name Rocco. You can almost see the veins in his forehead pulsating. Gio knows it too. He barely made it through the beach party fallout before Dante unloaded on him, like he'd been saving that speech for his next training seminar. And that was before the "surprise, you're his biological father" bomb dropped. The trouble is, Gio didn't ask for any of this. Not the truth, not the timing, not the years Brooke, Lynn, and Lois kept tucked away like a badly folded secret. Thus, when Gio looks at Dante, he doesn't see a doting dad. He sees a dude who yells first and apologizes. Sometime later. Maybe. You can't blame the kid for treading cautiously. Still, underneath the bickering and bruised feelings, there's something almost broken in about the way these two circle each other. Like they both know this could work if Dante would just quit policing Gio's soul like it's precinct property. The kid wants space. Dante wants order. Somewhere in there is a middle ground they haven't quite tripped over yet. For starters, Gio hasn't completely written him off. That alone deserves a parade. A lesser teenager would have blocked Dante, moved across town, and started telling people his father was a violinist who travels. Gio still shows up. He still tries. Second, Gio doesn't retaliate. Dante storms, Gio absorbs. The kid has every reason to throw back half the things Dante's thrown at him, but he doesn't. That restraint, Dante should send him a fruit basket. And third, despite everything, Gio still wants a sliver of connection. Not the Hallmark version, not the Falconeri family therapy version, just something real. And if Dante ever stops bracing for disaster long enough to see it, he'll realize the truth. Gio isn't the problem. Gio is the bridge. Maurice Benard has been a mainstay on TV since the late 80s. Maurice Benard has captivated daytime audiences for decades as Sonny Corinthos, the brooding mobster he first brought to life on General Hospital in 1993. He began his career as a model in his early 20s before making his acting debut as Nico Kelly on All My Children from 1987 to 1989. After leaving Pine Valley, Benard moved to Los Angeles and starred in the 91 TV movie Lucy and Desi, Before the Laughter, while also appearing in films like Ruby, Mi Vida Loca, The Ghost and the Whale, and portrayed John Gotti in Victoria Gotti, My Father's Daughter. Off-screen, he and his wife Paula are proud parents to 4 children, Kaylee, Cassidy, Heather, and Joshua. Born Mauricio Morales on March 1st, Maurice Benard grew up in San Francisco with proud Nicaraguan and Salvadoran roots. Before becoming a fan-favorite actor, he launched his career in his early 20s as a model, opening the door to the on-screen success that would later make him a household name. Benard burst onto All My Children as Nico Kelly in 1987, a troubled young man with a criminal past tied to his dangerous uncle, Creed Kelly. Introduced as a street-hardened bad boy involved in drugs, scams, and prostitution, Nico began turning his life around after protecting Julie Chandler from one of Creed's violent schemes. His journey toward redemption took a surprising turn when he met Cecily Davidson, a wealthy but troubled teenager desperate to access her trust fund. What began as a marriage of convenience slowly evolved into a genuine romance, transforming them into one of Pine Valley's most memorable late 1980s couples. Eventually, Nico and Cecily left town together. In 1991, Benard starred alongside Frances Fisher as Desi and Lucy Arnaz in Lucy and Desi, Before the Laughter. The made-for-TV biopic charts the extraordinary rise and unraveling of the couple. Beginning with their first spark in the 1930s at RKO Studios, the film chronicles their soaring Hollywood careers, their passionate yet turbulent marriage, and the creation of the groundbreaking, history-making series, I Love Lucy. By the time their story reaches its emotional conclusion in 1960, viewers get a front-row seat to how this iconic duo changed television forever. Benard originated the role of Sonny Corinthos on GH on August 13, 1993. Before he was cast, the show was considering him for 2 roles, Sonny and Damian Smith. Benard chose Sonny because it was supposed to be a short-term role. Benard has won 3 Outstanding Lead Actor in a Daytime Drama Series in 2003, 2019, and 2021. Benard was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the age of 22, is very vocal about his struggles with his mental health. He hosts a weekly podcast, State of Mind, where he has his co-stars, other actors, and other voices in the mental health space as guests. In 2020, his book, Nothing General About It: How Love Saved Me On and Off General Hospital, was released. You can pick up a copy on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Cameron Matheson is spending time with his daughter in Paris. Cameron Matheson headed to Paris while on break from General Hospital. And while the city is beautiful, he visited for a much more important reason: to see his daughter. Matheson is taking full advantage of a filming break from GH. The actor headed to Paris to spend time with his daughter. He marked the occasion with an adorable Instagram post that was carefully curated to highlight the relationship between the father and daughter duo. The caption reads, "Paris is beautiful, but this was the real reason I came. How father-daughter love family is important to Matheson. Earlier this year, he lost the home he raised his family in due to the California wildfires. It was where he and his ex-wife raised their children. He has been outspoken about what he lost, including sharing photos of the wreckage and rummaging through the things that survived the fires. His son and daughter grew up there, which has been something that has stuck with him." Matheson has also faced considerable criticism for playing the role of Drew on GH. His character switch has elicited some vicious comments, which in turn have affected his children. Despite it all, Matheson continues to shine. He shows up to work to film with his co-stars and deals with the criticism and comments incredibly well. Daytime has been a part of his life for decades, and he has worked on films for Great American Family alongside co-stars like Candace Cameron Bure. Spending time in beautiful Paris with his daughter may be just what he needs to refresh and return to the world of Port Charles and the character of the despicable Drew Kane. General Hospital viewers are dying to see some characters back in Port Charles. On our list of 7 are 3 women, 4 men, and a few of them are dead. But as you know, death is never an obstacle to a return on GH. These comebacks would really shake things up in Port Chuck. Let's get right to it. The first character I want to talk about is a young man who is dead, but mentioned fairly frequently, and is missed very much by his parents, Sonny Corinthos and Carly Spencer. We're talking about Morgan Stone Corinthos. Even though he died back in 2016 because of a car bomb meant for Julian Jerome, fans have repeatedly asked for his resurrection and return. We did catch a glimpse of Brian Craig in a couple of returns, once in a dream and once as a ghost when Sonny was suicidal a couple of years ago. Since Morgan's body was never found, and Brian Craig said he would love to come back to GH, it's totally possible. I think fans would be overjoyed, along with Carly and Sonny and his siblings, Michael, Christina, and Jocelyn, who still talk about Morgan all the time, especially around the holidays. It would really shake things up for Ava, who of course had a romantic relationship with Morgan and was partially responsible for his death. Just a quick note, I got to interview Brian Craig right after he left General Hospital, and he was the nicest guy. So polite, kind of shy, DC, just a real sweetheart. He really impressed me. Next up is a character who is very much alive but behind bars, Laura Spencer's other son, Nicholas Cassadine. He is a legacy offspring and a fan favorite. Of course, viewers will always miss Tyler Christopher, who originated the role and tragically passed in real life. Now we've got Adam Huss in the role, but we haven't seen him since last year when Lulu needed a liver donor. For a while, Nicholas was going dark, but he seemed to straighten out after he had been behind bars for a while. Plus, little Ace Cassadine needs his dad. Right now, Nicholas is serving time for holding awful Esme captive in a tower at Windermere while she was pregnant. But once Nicholas is out of prison, it would be great to see him back in Port Charles, reunited with his son Ace, his mom Laura, and his sister Lulu. The third on our list is a woman who is alive, but she has been off-screen for quite a while, and that is Skye Chandler Quartermaine. She's Alan Quartermaine's daughter, and if you watched the other soaps, she was also on All My Children and One Life to Live. Skye has been in New York City since 2012, but she is still alive and she could definitely return, especially with the Quartermaine family front and center right now with lots of drama. I think it'd be great for Skye to reconnect with her family. Plus, she is wicked fun. If you don't remember her in the past, she kidnapped Christina, She blackmailed Tracy, she drove drunk, and she attempted murder. She has ties to some big villains like Faith Roscoe, Anthony Zaccara, and Lorenzo Alcazar. Plus, Skye also had romantic ties to both Ned and Rick, who are both on the canvas, so that could be pretty interesting. Tracy would lose it if Skye returned, and it's always fun to see Tracy irritated. Skye could also come back and side with the other evil Q, Drew Kane. By the way, you're going to want to stick around till the very end because the last one on our list is a huge one, someone that fans are having fits to get back onto General Hospital. Number 4 on our list of characters fans would love back is mega villain Jerry Jacks. He is super wicked, but also super sexy, and I would love to have Sebastian Roche back to General Hospital. He is the big, bad big brother of Jasper Jacks, making him Jocelyn's uncle. Jerry's list of crimes is absolutely legendary. He shot Robin Scorpio, faked her death, and then stashed her away. Jerry tried to kidnap Michael and Christina when they were little kids. He was partly to blame when Michael got shot in the head as a little kid. Jerry poisoned all of Port Charles's water supply, but he also made Alexis Davis swoon, and she could use a little excitement in her life. Jerry was a top-tier villain, and it would be wild to have him back, maybe even conspiring with the current big bad villain in Port Charles right now, Valentine Cassadine. Next on the list, number 5, is a she-villain who is supposedly dead and gone, but the way she died left plenty of room for a return. Can you imagine if Nell Benson came back? Michael thinks Willow's gone dark, but she's got nothing on her twin, Nell from Hell. Willow loves Wiley and hates the very idea of her twin, but Nina would love to have a shot to get to know her other daughter. Of course, Nina felt like Carly cheated her out of that chance by keeping Nell's identity as her daughter a secret. And then Carly watched as Nell fell off a cliff into a river. While they did mention later that her body was found way downstream, we never saw it. That could have been a setup done by Dawn of Day members, the cult she married into when Nell got hitched to wicked Shiloh Archer while they were both in prison. Our 6th returnee that we know fans would like to have back is one of the all-time most missed characters, and that's Spencer Cassadine. This character has been adored since he was a mischievous, precocious little kid played by Nicholas Bechtel. And then when they did the Saurus, aged-up recast with Nicolas Chavez, fans just really fell in love with him even more. It would honestly be great to have both Nicholas Cassadine and his son Spencer back. If you remember, his body was never found when he and evil Esme fell into the frigid waters of the River Seine back in France in early 2024. Spencer's been presumed dead, but there were hints even at the time that he supposedly drowned, that he survived. Plus, with Trina visiting France fairly frequently, fans have been wondering if she mightn't have been visiting Spencer. Now, I doubt Nicolas Chavez will come back, because he is very busy with other big projects, but they could always recast Spencer. Last but not least at all, number 7 on our list is the character that is most demanded to return to General Hospital, and that is Sam McCall. Fans have been irate since Cyrus Renault murdered her last Halloween. Kelly's abrupt firing prompted a bunch of rumors about backstage politics that had reportedly been festering since Billy Miller got backburnered to make room for Steve Burton in not his most recent return from the dead with Jason, but the one before that. Viewers were absolutely infuriated that the powers that be fired Kelly and killed off Sam. They were protesting. They rented trucks to drive by. There was a Times Square billboard that was rented out to protest her death and Kelly's firing. I know if GH reversed things and brought Sam back, it would bring huge ratings. Maybe it'll happen one day. We'll see. The General Hospital scoop for Monday, December 1st. Hints Drew Kane will tell Willow Tate their wedding will be beautiful. Also coming up, Nina Reeves will encourage her daughter to get out of there. Plus, Jordan Ashford will share a sweet moment with Curtis Ashford, and Trina Robinson will be shocked. Viewers should note, the ABC Sudsir will be preempted on Thursday, November 27th, and on Friday, November 28th for college football. But new episodes of GH will return on Monday, December 1st. GH spoilers tease, Jordan will spend some time with Curtis on Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for, she tells her ex-husband in a GH sneak peek. But will he invite her to the dinner with his daughter and Stella Henry? Speaking of Trina, she and Kai Taylor will enjoy the holiday together. That is, until someone utters something she won't like at all. "What did you just say?" she'll angrily ask. But what will Trina find out, and who will she learn it from? Other GH spoilers tease the Quartermaines will celebrate Thanksgiving. Plus, Brooklyn Quartermaine will tell Harrison Chase he's the one who is tempting fate, and Gio Palmieri will get a surprise. Meanwhile, Willow will begin to waver on marrying Drew. And luckily, Nina will be there to offer her daughter a way out. She'll tell Willow to trust her gut. "We can walk out of here right now," a relieved Nina will say to her daughter. However, will she take her up on it? Finally, Nina's advice may stick with Willow. Drew will notice she looks concerned, and he'll tell her there's no need to worry. "This is our wedding day," Drew will say. "It's gonna be perfect." But is Willow actually going to go through with it this time? At any rate, it looks like a great episode is coming up. Keep reading the Soap Scoop for more General Hospital spoilers and news. And make sure you join our free GH Facebook group. The constant back and forth between these two needs to stop. Fans have been hoping for a Jason and Britt reunion since she returned to General Hospital, but their story has become somewhat frustrating, and so has Britt. It's time for her to let go of the attitude and let Jason in. Jason and Britt were an unlikely couple that somehow worked together. She let her guard down with him, and he truly cared for her. That all fell apart when he left her and chose to marry Carly for the good of the business and to save the family. The Britch and Stone Cold almost found their way back to each other, but he was presumed dead, and then she was. Somehow, they are both miraculously alive and should have fallen into each other's arms, but that didn't happen. Britt is terrified of Sidwell, who appears to be keeping her alive with medication, and will not share her secrets with Jason. He desperately wants to help her, but she doesn't trust him. This may be due to her fear of Sidwell, or Jason's past betrayal, or both. These two have fallen into a pattern, and fans say they are getting bored with it. Jason offers help. Britt almost lets him in. Something comes up. Jason leaves to go help someone else. When he returns, she is furious and pushes him away. A few days later, it happens all over again. However, he is always calm and logical and begging to help her. She flies off the handle and throws their past in his face. It's likely that she will eventually tell him the whole truth, and he will save the day. This constant back and forth is only prolonging the inevitable. It's time for Britt to tear down her walls, let the past go, accept Jason for who he is, and allow him to help her deal with her deep, dark secret. Rocco endured the beating that may define his future and shape the man he'll grow into. On General Hospital, Rocco didn't land in juvenile detention because he's some budding criminal. He landed there because he trusted the wrong people at the wrong moment. He slipped into Professor Dalton's lab, trying to help Gio and Emma reveal animal cruelty, sure, but the real damage came later. When Dalton framed him for destruction, Rocco didn't commit. The plea deal that should have kept him out of a cell vanished. The judge came down hard, and suddenly, this kid, a kid, was staring at 2 nights in lockup while his family scrambled to undo the mess. And now he's taken a beating inside those walls. That's the part that changes a person. That's the part that rewrites a storyline. The thing that hit hardest during the November 24 GH episode wasn't the assault itself, so much as the way Rocco tried to shrink himself afterward, like he already knew this place wasn't built to protect him. Dante showed up trying to wrap strength around him, telling him to hold on, telling him Danny and Charlotte were stepping up. It wasn't enough. You could see the fear under the surface. Not dramatic fear, not loud, just that tight, quiet fear kids get when the world has suddenly grown teeth. And then Sonny visited him, and the whole temperature of the room changed. He didn't coddle. He didn't soften. He spoke like someone who has survived rooms like that and wants to make sure Rocco never forgets who's in his corner. Sonny sees juvie for what it is, a currency exchange. Strength gets you space, reputation buys safety, and he made sure Rocco knew that anyone swinging at him was swinging at a Corinthos. Whether you agree with Sonny's tactics or not, the kid heard him. Meanwhile, the adults behind the scenes are only now realizing how badly Dalton played them. ADA Turner is finally waking up to the truth. Nathan can't locate the professor. Dante is pushing against every second ticking by. And in the chaos of Dalton's disappearance, Rocco is the one paying the price. The bruises on his face aren't just bruises. It's a turning point. GH has a history of letting one moment harden a character or carve out their backbone. Michael had one, Spencer had one, even Dante had his. Now, Rocco's standing at that same crossroads, and the question isn't whether he'll get out. He will. The whole family will make sure of that. Chris McKenna hints Joss may be headed for a hard wake-up call about Brennan's rules. Carly's been walking a razor's edge lately on General Hospital, smiling through conversations she'd rather smash her way out of. Jack thinks he's got her wrapped in warm sheets and half-truths, but she's been playing a different game entirely. Aligning with Valentine behind closed doors, storing up every ounce of betrayal for the moment she strikes back. He recruited her daughter. That alone would have sent earlier versions of Carly straight through a wall. Now she's keeping her face soft, waiting for Jack to blink. And according to Chris McKenna, that quiet tension is exactly where things get interesting. McKenna told Soap Opera Digest he expected the reveal to set off one of those big GH detonations. The kind where tempers flare, everyone talks over each other, and the whole story tilts on its axis, once Carly learned what Jack had done with Jocelyn. Instead, the writers zagged. He admitted, "I think we were all expecting a big blow-up," and the way he tells it, the left turn surprised even the people playing it. What really caught him off guard was how much murkier the moral math became. He acknowledged that Carly had every right to be furious with Jack. She was blindsided, and her daughter was at the center of it. But he also noted that she crossed her own line by teaming up with Valentine. As he put it, Carly was completely in the right, until she wasn't. Once the dust settled, it wasn't just Jack carrying the weight of a bad choice. Carly suddenly had her hands in something just as explosive, and the dynamic between them shifted in a way neither could fully ignore. And underneath all of that, Jack's radar never really powered down. The guy's been reading the temperature in the room even when he pretends he's missing the signs. McKenna teased that the audience will see him watching Carly more closely than she realizes. "He plays things close to the vest," he said, and the quiet moments tell the real story. A man clocking the shift, even if he's pretending not to. McKenna also touched on how volatile things are becoming around Jack, especially with Jocelyn. He made it clear that Brennan didn't drag Vaughn away out of nowhere. To him, it was the consequence of warnings ignored. Brennan warned Vaughn and Joss not to pursue a relationship, but they continued to do so on the down low. He gave them time, space, grace, and then followed through when the line was crossed. And if Joss pushes back? McKenna framed it as the wake-up call Joss has been dodging. The kind of moment where she finally sees the version of Brennan who doesn't bluff, doesn't hesitate, and doesn't rewrite his own rules just because someone he cares about wants him to soften. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.